Well, everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the iPhone 14 Pro and compare it against the iPhone 14 Plus and see which specific phone is a better one for you. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, quite obviously, the 14 Pro is the better phone in pretty much every single angle. This is going to be giving you the longer lasting phone. Pretty much everything is better on the iPhone 14 Pro. But with the iPhone 8 Plus, it came out in 2017. And for many years, it was actually one of the last home button iPhones. Since this iPhone, we've pretty much only gotten a few different home button iPhones, which are primarily the iPhone SE lineup. Before the main series, this was the last one. We have quite a bit of bezel on the top and bottom, but we have this fairly nice 5.5-inch IPS panel. I keep calling it a super retina IPS panel, is not the case. It's an IPS panel and it's 1080p. It's definitely not a bad panel. I still like it. You have, Touch ID 2 on the front. Still a very good looking phone. I don't really have too much to complain about it. And that kind of covers it up. With the iPhone 14 Pro, we have a little bit, I guess, of a bigger 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED panel. And this is definitely by far the better panel. I mean, the viewing angles are better. The screen is way better. It gets way brighter. But you also have a few other key characteristics. One, way less bezel around it. You have this dynamic island display, which is kind of weird, but way less bezel. So it's a much smaller phone in the hand, but you're getting a much bigger display. So massive thing to keep in mind. But you're also getting ProMotion. So it's 120 hertz, and this thing feels so premium, it's not even funny. So with the mixture of all those things, basically this phone looks and feels very premium, and I'm so happy about it. Now, in terms of thinness and thickness, you can kind of see that the thinness and thickness sector is actually going for the iPhone 8 Plus. Surprisingly, the 8 Plus was like one of the thinnest iPhones Apple made, at least from what I can tell in modern times, and it is a very thin iPhone. You have volume buttons around the same side. You can also see from the bottom, the iPhone 8 Plus, at least on the other side, has a SIM card tray. The 14 Pro does not have a SIM card tray inside of it, so that's probably a big thing to keep in mind, and that's really the main reason why I haven't switched over to the 14 Pro, because it's kind of an annoying process. On the bottom, we have lightning ports on both, as well as the speaker grills, which look way bigger on the iPhone 8 Plus, if you guys can tell. And on the back, we have a very interesting setup as well. So my 8 Plus is completely cracked, but we have this triple camera setup on the iPhone 14 Pro, a wide, ultra-wide, and telephoto lens, where the iPhone 8 Plus has a dual camera setup, a wide and telephoto lens there. So in my opinion, you're definitely getting, as I mentioned before, a way better camera on the 14 Pro than on the iPhone 8 Plus. On top of that, the build quality is going to be way better with the 14 Pro because you are getting this frosted glass back that feels so premium. I can just rub my hands on this every single day. With the iPhone 8 Plus, it's the standard glass back. So take it as you will, but that is pretty much one main reason why I love my iPhone 14 Pro over any of the older iPhones that have this standard glass back. Now, both these phones have IP certification. Both these phones support wireless charging, which is nice. But the iPhone 14 Pro has 5G support. It has dual eSIM support. It has this MagSafe capability, emergency SOS satellite mode, and crash detection as well. So you are getting a ton of cool new features on the iPhone 14 Pro that are just even outside of the way they look. So in my opinion, that's pretty much a big thing to keep in mind. Now, another big thing to keep in mind is with software. Now, the iPhone 8 Plus is still supported with software, which is great, but it doesn't seem like this phone is going to be lasting that much longer. So that is kind of one of the main reasons, and probably one of the main problems with something like the iPhone 8 Plus, because we don't know how much longer this phone is going to last. If I have to estimate, this phone's probably going to last maybe like another, it's tough to say, maybe like another like 2-3 years, maybe like another 2 years if we're lucky. So it's not going to last like a crazy amount of time after, but it's still going to have a little bit of a leeway ahead of it because the iPhone 10 still supports all these other phones, so maybe it's going to last a bit longer. But the 14 Pro is going to outlast this phone like crazy. So that covers it up there. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between these two. The iPhone 8 Plus has that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 14 Pro has that Apple A16 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. Sorry about the little angle there, but hopefully things look good. Now let's go and clear all the apps in the background. So the 8 Plus is cleared. The iPhone 14 Pro still has some apps. So now we're good to go. So let's get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. About the same thing. Music, 3, 2, 1. Now getting it out of an application is much smoother on the 14 Pro than on the iPhone 8 Plus. Now surprisingly, the 8 Plus kind of got into that one faster, which makes no sense to me. Let's do their app stores, 3, 2, 1. And the 14 Pro was faster there, but the iPhone 8 Plus really wasn't that far behind. Now scrolling through, you guys might be able to tell the smoothness factor between them, and the iPhone 14 Pro definitely is far smoother in my opinion than something like the iPhone 8 Plus. Hopping out of this one, we can get into mail, 3, 2, 1. Totally messed that one up. But I mean, timing wise, it probably still would have been faster on the iPhone 14 Pro. Clock 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go now by this one. Camera 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, I mean, I still think the iPhone 14 Pro is faster. Camera, let's take a photo. 3, 2, 1. So this one is on that, but it's very interesting that this one has a thicker border around it than this one. Let's go and open up that photo. Definitely faster on the iPhone 14 Pro. And you can see, like I said, scrolling out and just kind of maneuvering through the whole entire UI is going to be faster and smoother on the iPhone 14 Pro because of ProMotion, as well as the gesture-based design. Snapchat 3, 2, 1. Definitely faster on the iPhone 14 Pro. Let's go and do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And of course we get this little dumb pop-up. I will say that shouldn't have affected the loading time, so it still would have been the same. And even if we gave it a little bit of leeway, I mean, it still would have been faster on the iPhone 14 Pro for sure. Let's get into some gameplay. 3, 2, 1. Even clicking onto it was faster on the iPhone 14 Pro. Many glitches that I saw on the iPhone 8 Plus, as some of you may be able to tell. So that was a very interesting one. We can try something like Genshin Impact. This is a massive game. 3, 2, 1. Now play this game on both. Definitely is going to be smoother and faster on the iPhone 14 Pro, but I will say the 8 Plus still handled this game fairly well. Like, I'm still surprised how good of a job the iPhone 8 Plus still does on some of these older games. And because of modern games, you can change the graphic profiles, so there's always that. So if it's not running too well on like medium graphics, you can lower them. But the 14 Pro is going to run fairly well on even the highest graphic settings you have. So definitely when it comes down to it, in my opinion, the iPhone 14 Pro is going to be the faster phone pretty much every single way you can think about it. There's really not going to be too many situations where the 14 Pro is slower, but there was that one time we opened the music and it was faster on the iPhone 8 Plus. So that kind of covers it up there. Now in the camera department, as I mentioned before, triple camera setup on the iPhone 14 Pro. So you're getting the wide ultra-wide telephoto lens. iPhone 8 Plus only a wide-in telephoto lens, which is still perfectly fine. Now you're getting 4K 60 on the back of both, but you're only getting 1080p on the front of the 8 Plus. The 14 Pro, you are actually getting 4K at 60, which is so amazing on this phone. Now with the iPhone 8 Plus, as I mentioned before, it's definitely not like the worst camera of all time, and it's definitely, still holding the test of time for sure. You are getting that 10x zoom, which is really nice. So being able to zoom in like 10x is really cool. You don't have that ultra-wide camera, so you just get 1x zoom on the outside. Now you still have things like standard video mode, you still have slow mode and time-lapse, and so many other options here, which is really cool. And you also have portrait mode, which I think is really awesome. So being able to utilize things like portrait mode and all these other options is really, really awesome, and I am a humongous fan of that. Now you have this like square thing and panorama mode and whatnot, but I definitely do think that the iPhone 8 Plus's camera isn't bad, and I still think it's held up fairly well throughout the last few years. However, with the iPhone 14 Pro, it's not even close. This is definitely going to be giving you the much better camera when it comes down to it. The 14 Pro, I mean, you have so many features built in. For one, you still maintain that 1x zoom, but you have 0.5x zoom. You have 15x zoom if you really want to get into it. The video quality and photo quality is going to be substantially better. You are getting this new cinematic mode, which is amazing. You have slow mode, you have time lapse, you have portrait mode here as well. And you also have the action mode, which I think is really awesome. So when it comes down to it, I'm a massive fan of this specific phone camera, and it is substantially better. Like, it is a noticeable difference coming from the iPhone 8 Plus for a fact. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, I definitely do think if you have something like the iPhone 8 Plus, going up to the iPhone 14 Pro is a massive upgrade for sure. You're going to be getting better build quality, like a better display, just better everything, better battery life, better performance, longevity. Like, this phone pretty much has it all. But if you can make it out for like another year on the iPhone 8 Plus, you could probably wait for the iPhone 15, which is probably going to be an even bigger upgrade with USB-C. So you may just want to wait until that phone comes out. But regardless, I think this is an awesome phone still, and I think it still is holding up fairly well, which is surprising. But you don't have to go to the iPhone 14 Pro either. You can get a 13 Pro and still get a really big upgrade as well. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that means so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.